Hello, members of the internet, and welcome to this video of West Coast Time Trial. This is episode 2, and we have an ambulance, which, let's just say it's borrowed. It's essentially an extensively modified H-series. You'll see the frame under there, and the cab is just standard H-series, which I can't zoom out of for some reason, but there we go. That's our cab. In the back, I can hopefully zoom in here, and I'll show you. The interior is pretty detailed, actually, considering you won't see this most of the time, only when you crash and such like. But anyway, we can not open that. We can get into the interior and start the countdown. Come on. This is an automatic, so there is hopefully less chance of me messing up the gear shift as I usually could. And I say that, it's probably going to mess itself up in some way or another, and it feels like it's already veering to the right. I don't know, maybe the road just goes to the left and it makes it feel that way, and oh dear. That had potential to turn a lot worse than it was, and I don't know, it just feels like it wants to veer to the right. It's not a horrible veerance, it's just minor, but still strange in its own way. I think if I knock the rear axle there, it won't matter too much. Oh dear, same with there. The rear axle on this is pretty tough, as so it would have to be with all that weight acting up on it. Now it's really veering to the right. Is it just that I've put it under any kind of pressure and it doesn't like that? It does make over 200 horsepower, I'll mention that now, which sounds sporting, but it just doesn't have the torque to go with that to turn it into a sporting experience when you've got this amount of weight to deal with. I think I might have bent up the rear left wheel though, the way it's pushing it. But I don't know, it just wants to kind of push itself to the right. It's just the way it is. Right, I'm taking a bit of a cheeky shortcut here. I probably shouldn't, but you know, the van, would I call it, is going that way and was going that way anyway, so I didn't have much choice in the matter, and I've burst one of my front tyres. To be honest, the way I was attacking curbs, that could have been a lot worse, and it actually feels like it might even have stabilised it somewhat. I don't know what's happened. I honestly don't know if I just stepped on the brakes and the front wheel couldn't take it and it bent. It shouldn't be like that though, because it's an ambulance and they do sometimes have to go at high speed in order to rescue patients and do what they do. That's where we go for emergencies on the right, but we're not going there now because we have a lap to complete. I wouldn't say it's in a state of disrepair though. It is a bit damaged, but you know, it's still drivable. I feel this could even put a good lap time in it. It definitely doesn't have the outright speed of some vehicles, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is beating the Sunburst because it feels like it actually has a lot more low-end torque than that to go with the power, so despite the weight it could just pull through it. And we have, oh dear, that curb just bounced me, I guess at the right moment. I was heading right for that pole though, and it looked unsavable. I still think the second lap could be quicker, and indeed the first lap is quicker than the Sunburst, so if I can get the second lap right, I can go quicker, I believe. The steering doesn't feel majorly affected by the punctured tyres, so that shouldn't stand in our way too much. We've got a weird arrow sign there, I'm not sure what that means. Probably that traffic goes these directions and all that. I think I can cut this better than I did on the first lap. And there we go, yeah, indeed. I just about managed to hold it away from that second curb that's on our left at the moment. And I think that might have given me a bit of extra speed. Oh, I'm going wide. And the curb has just about stopped it going ridiculously mad. It's odd, the curbs are actually helping me here. They'd normally just destroy the axles of other regular vehicles. But this vehicle, being the reinforced vehicle that it is, it's able to kind of ride over them in a way other vehicles can't quite. It does tip round corners, but the handling is good and the handling is here and solid. Oh, I don't like that tipping one bit. I won't take quite the same cheeky shortcut I did on the first lap, but I will go round there at a slightly goofy angle. And around here again. This is not doing badly at all. it does struggle on the straights, but I'm not tending to find concern in that, because more of a concern really is how I'm going to get this round the corner. It's still a heavy vehicle, and I just have to make sure that, you know, I know where I'm going with it. I know how to use the power into the next corner, and how to hopefully maintain a bit of speed out of there. So we've got a 2:30 to beat. I think we can do below 2:30 on this lap, but I'm not sure it's going to do that. The automatic transmission as well is another thing I don't have to worry about, which is definitely nice, that must be said. And it feels like we've got no momentum here, which is disappointing. Curb, ow. Well, it doesn't matter now if I wreck the car or van too much, because we're coming to the finish. I think we've even crossed it now. There we go. What was lap 2? 2 minutes? Really? That was slower? Oh well. I guess it's just the punctured tyre in subtle ways slowing it down. Nonetheless, I'm pretty impressed by that. 2:30 for a big, heavy old vehicle. Beat the lightweight Sunburst, and I think if we look down here, we can actually zoom out now, that's something. The front wheel bend, that must have just happened under the first corner, like the one behind us as well, on the first lap, and that must have been what was affecting the cornering slightly. You know, it seems odd it would take damage so early. I guess I must have just done something odd with it and had that happen. Otherwise, it's actually survived fairly well. We've lost a rear tyre there. I didn't notice it saying that. Maybe that was what lost us a bit of time, because quite simply they are important for putting the power down, and if we're losing tyres. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I need to just move on, like I will. Okay, so we go from the world's safest, or America's safest, let's say, vehicle to its least safe, probably. This is a ridiculous near 400 horsepower vehicle, but all that 400 horsepower goes through the front wheels. Yeah, none of that power goes to the rear. And it's more drivable than you might think. However, it's a convertible Legran, and a Legran is not exactly the stiffest vehicle in the world. They're actually pretty flimsy. So when you take the roof off, one can only imagine how this would fare in a crash test. Actually, I have crashed it, having said that, and it hasn't crashed well. They're great fun, but when things go wrong, things really do go wrong in these. So, yeah. Also, I've not mentioned, but it is basically a Hellcat, Core 2 Duo? No, that's my name. It is basically a Hellcat Legran. That's what I'm going to call this, I think, on the leaderboard. Hellcat Legran. Anyway, let's get going. There we go. Oh dear. So much power. Thing is, this has flimsy wheel axles as well, which is fine if you're taking care of it or just going around a regular circuit like most people will. And oh dear. That could have damaged my wheel axle badly. Even that though, even that fairly light tip. And I really have to focus. As I say, it's fun to drive. It's definitely fun. It's not fun in the conventional rear-wheel drive way. It's far too grippy for that, and I had to slow down there because if I did fly, it would have really broken something. But you'll see, it's probably the quickest vehicle we've had yet, even though it's not all-wheel drive, because it just has the power. The most powerful vehicle yet, so you would expect it. It's definitely going to be quicker than the ambulance if it completes a lap. And I'm pretty sure it can complete a lap, but in what state? That is really the question. Oh dear. Very stable through here, actually, given I did just pilot an ambulance round, and that was very top heavy, whereas this is a fairly low road car, actually, or track car even, as I guess you might say. And through here, it's just so good. I mean, it's so well sorted, to say the least. Oh dear. There we go, and the brakes are functional as well. The brakes do get it slowed, even though it did look, at least at the start, like it just had standard drum brakes on the rear. I mean, these just never cease to amaze me how capable they really are and how capable they really can be into these corners. And it just has the power, it has the torque. Turbo lag is not excessive though. It gets into the turbo zone and then you can accelerate. I don't think I've punctured the tyres yet. Oh, worryingly close to that curb. I don't think I clipped it enough to burst a tyre. I didn't get a notification for that at least, so I think that's all okay. And oh dear. The curb protected me there, but it may also have bent it. Yeah, it is veering to the right. I honestly expected I was flying for that fire hydrant, so I'll take what I can get. This may still be a quicker lap. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, I got kind of attacked by that curb, and I have flown there as well, although I didn't want to do that on the first lap. I've got a good first lap now, so, you know, it's not desperate that I get this lap done. I can afford to be a bit more precarious, and I can afford to push the vehicle a little harder than I could on the first lap, because now I know I've got the lap done. Ooh, 2:01. I just looked there. I didn't get time to look earlier because I was trying to keep the beast under control. And oh, it looks like that's all we're going to do, sadly. The wheel is going. We're free! Yeah, we can keep driving. Oh. That front left wheel is not in a good state. Now, I could probably pilot this to the end, but at this stage, the lap would be worse than the first lap. So, I'm just going to leave it here. You can see what I said, though, about flimsy crash structure. That was a curb that did that to the car. I didn't have a major full-on crash. Just a curb, and it's not bented up, whereas with the ambulance, it would bend it up, maybe burst the tyres, but that thing was tough. This is not, and is that a longitudinal front engine? I have to investigate into this. That's odd. It's not. Ah, it's not coming up with a dial. So, can I go free play? I don't think I can. I think I can zoom in though. That does kind of look longitudinal. I don't know. Maybe it's a flat 4 Hauchi engine or something. I know it's a V6, as you would expect from a Legran. And yeah, the door. That was the other thing I wanted to mention. Just look at that. It's all flimsy and bent out of shape. It's almost like it's aluminium, but I think it's steel. But anyway, on to the next vehicle without further ado. Now here we have the ETK rival FR17, which is actually a Formula 1 car. Well, basically a Formula 1 car. This, I think I just said, the ETK rival version. And it's in our channel colours vaguely. Better still, it says HP on, so it's V or help even. So, kind of themed like my channel. Anyway, here we go. Let's get this going. See if it can be our new quickest car. It's our new loudest car, I think. Oh dear. It does struggle a little to put the power down. You do have to be careful. For Legran, you could just floor it everywhere. This you can't. That's a fact of how these things go, I guess. I have a nice speedometer. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Careful, careful with how I put it down. I was so careful. So careful, and I lost my front splitter now. Come on, you will do it, mighty FR17. Oh dear. With no front splitter, I am not reassured by this. Hey, I've got it this far. I don't even know how I flipped it over. I just did. I'm slightly amazed it's still working after flipping over as well as it is. And those brakes are really impressive. So it would be, it's a Formula 1 car. Oh, I feel due to the terrifyingness of this though, it may not actually be quicker than the Legran. Because the Legrano is confident with it and I could push it quite a bit. The second lap I went even absolutely crazy. I mean, it ended up destroying the car, but I was able to go crazy without worrying too excessively. This, I'm scared of using the power. Oh dear. I can always use some of the power, but you'll see things like that happen, and I just have moments of instability that not only slow it down, but they also lose my confidence completely and have carry a pretty great risk, actually, of messing it up for good, messing up the car for good. Oh, that was harsh with that curb even. Yeah, as I say, messing it up for good was there's a pretty nasty chance of that happening. And I've punctured a tyre, exactly, just trying to turn this thing round, which I guess you could say is my fault, more than the car's. But still, it's just coming from the Legran, oh dear, it's nowhere near as easy as it should be. Second lap. That was kind of quick. To be fair, considering I had to turn it round, that was still kind of quick. Have I lost one of my rear wheels or something? Oh dear. Something does not feel good at all back there. Hey, at least I'm able to use a bit more power, I feel. Even if it has lost a wheel, it's somewhat beneficial in a weird way. Right, through here. Quite neatly and tidily. Oh dear. Can't afford to go crazy though. Maybe I just lost the rear wing and it kind of balanced it out, which would also, I guess, make sense. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm not... You'll probably hear I'm not using the power all the time, because if I do, the thing will just lose control and go all over the place. Considering this car is partially broken, though, or perhaps quite consistently and thoroughly broken, it's not doing as badly as it could. Should we take it to a hospital? Probably not, because that would hurt our lap time. Yeah, who would have thought the ambulance would have actually survived and been more consistent than a Formula 1 car? I mean, I would have thought it would have survived, but the consistency, you expect that to sit with a Formula 1 car, not the ambulance. This has probably one of the lowest centre of gravity you can imagine, whereas the ambulance would have been one of the highest centre of gravity you could imagine. Oh dear, running very wide. Somehow I just about held that together around there. And I've not managed to spin it, but I think this road is a little rough, which is what did it originally. Try and carefully go around here in first gear, it should be possible. And we've done it. It's under 2 minutes, that is extremely quick, but not as much quicker than the Legran as it should have been. So, here's what's left of our Formula 1 car then. Where's the camera on? There we go. He's got his little ETK suit on. And indeed, we lost the front splitter ages ago. We've punctured one of our front tyres, and I think the bumps of the track have just smashed up the wheels. Either that or the curbs have done that to it. So that kind of messed with it, I think. The front right is actually perfect. How that wheel got out of it and that tyre got out of it, I don't know. But yeah, our new quickest car. So until something else with this kind of potential comes along, I guess we won't see this kind of speed. The front splitter though, and when it flipped over, I just don't know what caused that. But anyway, I'll move on now. Okay, so here we have a D-Series Beast, which isn't actually the D-Series Beast, it is the D15 tanker upfit. Now, I believe this mod is just the tank itself, so I've built my own kind of truck around it, which is basically heavy-duty rear suspension stuff, dualies, and heavy-duty brakes with premium pads on the front and rear. And these, I believe, 9-lug wheels or something ridiculous. And that's it. So we can get going now. And this is also the base model D-Series to begin with the inline 6. So nothing fancy at all. And you'll see quite sluggish as we get off the line. And it is a manual though, which should help, so I guess it's up in the air whether this can beat the ambulance or not, because on the one hand we do have the inline 6, which is technically the inferior engine to the V8 in terms of performances. It got a bit wobbly there and I kind of don't know how to change gear. There we go, kind of hitting the higher RPMs now. Slightly messy there, I will admit, but on the second lap I should fix it provided I don't break anything, but I don't believe I have ABS with this. I think the ambulance, at least by the way that was handling and the way this is handling, I think that had ABS and this doesn't, and oh dear, big bobble. It is rear wheel drive only as well, but then so is the ambulance, so no particular advantage for either there. To be honest, I think that's preferable for this type of work vehicle. Roll, downshift and keep it. Here is maybe not the ideal RPMs, but I'll get some torque up, and it is a heavy old tank there. I think it's full, at least by the weight that's on this truck, it should be. And that would explain it. Now, at least by the feel of it, this feels a lot more sluggish than the ambulance. The ambulance was actually moving under its power. Help. Is this cheating? I mean, I think I've lost my tanker. Obviously, this lap is not going to be good. If I can just zoom out, maybe I can actually see. Alright, so at this stage, I don't want to disqualify it, so I'm just going to restart the quick race and kind of get to this point and then continue, but I won't use the first lap to time it, since I can't use the control node grabber doodad to actually bring it back onto its wheels. It just won't let me. Okay, so here I have the vehicle. I did have a bit of an accident, but it didn't break the radiator or anything, so I think we're fine there. The steering did appear slightly bent up, but then it's like, you can't expect to roll it and have no consequence whatsoever anyway, so it's not like that's going to affect us majorly. Now if I somehow switch to interior cam, come on. There we go. This would have been a terrible lap anyway because I parked up, so whatever I do in the second lap will probably be better. And I mean, what more is there to say? It is standard front suspension I've got on this, which is probably why it broke. I didn't put any fancy stuff on. You can also see it's bobbling about quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, it's just too soft for a heavy duty truck like this, but you know, that's what I've put on. Not much I can do about it now. Oh dear. Bit of a bobble, but it's fine. Emergency? Maybe, but we can't go there. The emergency is that they let me build a vehicle, perhaps, instead of the fact that there's an actual emergency. Oh, thankfully we've got a rev limiter with this, so although I'm racking the rev limit there, the truck got away with it fine. Cornered surprisingly flat there for, well, what this is, a tanker up there. This is a D15 frame though, this isn't a heavy reinforced frame or anything as well. That's not going to help with the stiffness of the front end. Together they will make it quite weak, and I'm thinking the ambulance was probably better for performance than this. Which is a strange thing to say, but you know. Oh, we're running a red light. But that's a strange thing to say, but it feels like, what's this case happening? Also, we do have the tanker upfit on here. As you'll see, when I did tip it over, it didn't have that on. It does have it on now. Oh dear, we're bobbling. Oh, that rear axle is getting a bit grumpy. It does seem very soft though when you watch it, because I did drive from the outside for a short duration and I did notice it rocking all over the place. Whereas you just don't notice it from the interior, you just feel a lot of wobble. Oh, come on. Speed! Where's all the speed when I need it? I had to even shift down upon going into this hill. It's definitely slower than the ambulance here, but then so it has less power and less torque, so you would expect it to be. I can shift up. Wow, shifting up on an uphill in this thing. What is going on? turning here. Thankfully there's a bit of a downhill so I can kind of build up some speed. This is where it went wrong on the first lap. This is where things went pretty badly terrible and I knocked the upfit off. So there we go, just delicately into here. No real power, just instead carefully take it through. And that is done. Oh, come on. I racked the curb there. Front left tyre deflated. I hope that's only the front left that's deflated though and not the rear left, because the rear left's putting power down. And also the tipping problems back there are bad enough as they are. Now, the first lap was 3:39, which is slow, as you would expect. Oh dear. Thankfully I didn't hit a lamppost on this lap. That would have really ruined this vehicle's chances of getting at all decent time, it must be said. And onto the final kind of corners we'll go. I am not feeling hopeful yet. It's slow. I think it's going to be our slowest vehicle yet until we have a base model Maluch or something, and even then I think this will be slower. It's just all this weight and the base model engine is not enough. I feel, however, if I did have a supercharged V8 in this, it would actually get going. But 243, it's not as terrible as it could have been, but it still ain't great. Just free roam. Let's see what's left of it. There's our front tyre. Looks like it's got some kind of infection. Ugh, that looks like completely shattered. There we go. It looks like the wheel's punctured, not the tyre. Although I were informed it's the tyre. Yep, there's the upfit. If I just go into exterior camera, I can show you now. You'll see here, it does actually rock a huge amount to the side. This is only at low speed though. Imagine if I'm doing this at like 60 miles per hour. You'd see a lot more rock and maybe even the vehicle wanting to tip over as it was doing. Turn on our one set of working headlights on the front. And indeed, it hasn't let me down as such because it was always going to be slow. But I would just have liked to see better out of it. On to the next vehicle. And our final vehicle of the day is the late model stock car with Toyota Care apparently. This is basically a NASCAR, and if anything's going to challenge the FR17 currently, it will be this, because the FR17 is our new quickest time. Just under 2 minutes though. It has broken that barrier, so barriers have been broken today, but can we further break the barrier, I guess you could say. Anyway, let's get going. So, shifting to first. There we go. Now, I believe this should have a 4-speed transmission if it's like a real NASCAR. It feels comfortable shifting around 6,000, so I'm assuming that's the case. Oh dear. It doesn't corner too bad. Oh! Is that the car just getting angry at me because we're not going round an oval or something? I don't know, it just flicked me up into the air. And then it don't feel like any damage is done. It's just very odd. Maybe I damaged some front trim or something. Oh, I shouldn't have taken that at that kind of speed. Honestly. Through here. Whoa, oh dear. Hi, tree. And that is basically this lap gone. But then so was the case with the FR17. But then I still managed to get it all together on the next lap and actually revive it and actually set an incredibly good time as a result of me getting it together. Now, oh dear. No, that didn't actually work out too bad. This is actually quite an easy vehicle to drive, I will admit. You may watch me struggling, that's just because I'm pushing it harder than I perhaps should. But it's actually incredibly easy to drive. And I'm able to floor it a lot more than I should be able to. It's easier than that D-Series I just had before to drive. You'll see that by the fact I haven't crashed or tipped over yet. Although that wasn't the worst car to drive. This, considering it's quite powerful, and a race car at that, is not bad. Some race cars are just like this. Some are easy, some are not. It's just sifting through and finding which ones are easy, I guess, is a challenge. More than anything. More than driving them, even. And round here we go. Now, this I have had a bit of a slide, so that will have been significantly hurt by that. But still, a 2:10. My hopes are up. This car is not looking bad. Just try and slow it down here. It feels like it's got no ABS, which I can get away with, but I just have to be aware of it. I mean, you can have a quick car without ABS as long as it's well set up. Like, this one actually feels as if it's set up well, so I'll probably get away with it. Oh dear. High steps. I got a lap. Oh dear. It hit a curb there, and it had enough. It's like, right, I'm having no more of this. I'm going to have to leave it here then. As much as I would have liked to set some crazy high-end time, it's just not going to do that because, quite frankly, it's destroyed. Even if I could get it out of here, just look at the state that front tyre must be in. Can we try and free it somewhat? Oh. Yeah. The car is in an upset state. But it is tough. I mean, you see how it took that crash. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here for today. So let's just take a look around all this detailed interior. And then I'll say goodbye until another day.